Okay, the definition of social entrepreneurship, you can be downloaded that at the Social Science Research Network because it's a very, very tough definition of 16 elements. But I would say the main issue is that it must be institutionalized. It must be refinanced by a business model. It just not depends on some philanthropy or some social venture capital. It must have a business model behind that. And the main reason why social entrepreneurship could be more successful than other activities is that they utilize and mobilize resources from third part. That's not your own resources, but it's from others, right? I mean, that's maybe the main mechanism and the emergence of the relevance of social entrepreneurship. The other part is that you mentioned that just 1 out of 1 million has, the capacity and the capabilities to be an entrepreneur, and I would say that's definitely wrong. I believe that you're an entrepreneur of your own life, and that's at least. And therefore, it means, and if you are talking about business schools, I don't believe in this idea anymore of business schools. I think it was an idea of the 20th century. But I guess that self-leadership, that self-correction, self-reflection is the main capacity, and you have to have that as a manager as well as an entrepreneur. So I believe that when you are an entrepreneur, you can have impact on society, on your business, on politics, and on culture or whatever. But I also believe that when you are just a junior manager in a corporate, then you can also make a difference. And that's what we call social intrapreneurship, which is a concept which is maybe even more successful than the entrepreneurship, because when you are a very small junior manager, you can scale that with your company in a much broader sense than you can do that as an entrepreneur from scratch. So that means I believe strongly in this idea of social intrapreneurship and in hybridization of corporate actors with the state, with NGOs, or with social entrepreneurs, or maybe also for-profit entrepreneurs. So I think the main capacity is the resources from third parties, and the other is to build relationships between the isolated actors like corporates, CSR departments, corporate foundations, and then even the wealth people who have their own private family offices and so on. They are all actors who can cooperate and change the world, and especially the junior managers from EGADE should be in the position to make a difference. Okay,
so can you give us an example, maybe a quick summary of this that you're talking about, the intrapreneurship, and maybe a successful case that you have studied or witnessed of something that you were talking about, how a junior manager or a senior manager in a company or a big company have begun to change some things, right?
I think what you can do is, if you connect that to your business model, because that's what I always try to say, that it's not necessary that if you are in a service industry that you have to have so much concerns on all these activities of environmental issues and whatever. It must fit to your value proposition and to your business model. But even then, you can make a difference in terms of looking at your value chain, looking at your company workforce in order to get qualified. For instance, people who are not potential customers, but they are not customers yet, but to educate them as a corporate volunteering activity. I mean, what I observed in the very beginning of this century was at Stanford, when I spent my guest professorship there. There was an idea that, for instance, Cisco, which is one of the biggest router company, they did a corporate education program against digital divide. So I mean, it has a strong connection to the business model, and they have their employees going out of their company and educate people in Palo Alto East, what kind of capabilities do you need in this new digital society. So, and you have a lot of other activities. Look at, for instance, Nike. I mean, they are not very good in the women's sportswear in Muslimic states. So, and now they are doing gender research, and they're trying to find new ways of gender policy. For sure. I mean, they want to sell in the country not just burqas, but also their women's sportswear. And that means it is linked to your business model. It's linked to your marketing approach. It's linked to your corporate communication. It is linked to the supply chain management, so that you have an integrated approach of doing good. And you are providing, as a company, you are providing private goods which have collateral effects on society in terms of your resources you have used, in terms of the customer habits you will change, and therefore I think this is core business, to be honest. I mean, it's not just that you have a business school and say, okay, Thursday in the morning from 7 to 8 you have business ethics as an additional program. It is deeply embedded in the history of economics itself. I mean, let's talk about Adam Smith and the theory of moral sentiments. I mean, this is really a moral embedded type of thinking economics, right? So, and therefore, I don't believe in this differentiation you are doing, because I think that the good companies, even Apple, will change the production of their products. I'm quite sure that this fetish is now gone, and then you have to focus on value chain which is moral and also environmental sustainable.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Steph. I only have one last question,
okay.
But I think there's no time. But maybe if you can say it in maybe 1 minute. What's the future of social and economic empowerment, maybe 5 years? What do you think will happen in the world in the next 5 years regarding this subject?
I definitely believe in the concept of inverse innovation. That means the innovation will not come anymore from the first world. Therefore, you are in charge for improving the first world as emerging companies and emerging countries. So I believe that this new way of thinking society, from the bottom of the pyramid to the top, it's a way which the Europeans they have really struggled with. I mean, because they are relying on their welfare state system, and they have no such a social innovation mode, and therefore I'm quite sure that you are in charge for changing the world from the bottom to bring some innovations which we will adopt afterwards, and I'm quite happy that this old differentiation between first world, emerging second world, third world, this will disappear. I believe that this takes more than 5 years, but I'm quite sure that we are much better than today.
Okay. Well, thank you, Stefan.